Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. I have another interesting blog that I want to do today. It's kind of a video response to my good friend Jeremy. I'll have a link for his channel down below. He does these great weekly community questions, and some of them I've done similar vlogs on in the past, but this is one that I really liked because it's something that I think about all the time, especially now where I'm doing more collecting recently because of things going on at home than actual gaming. You know, I still keep it in the forefront of my mind, and I'm always thinking about, you know, gaming, and even when I can't do it. But, you know, I'll try to pick up, you know, 1 or 2 games a week, usually used games or something. I'll pop by GameStop and just check it out. They had a good deal last week. I get 2 used games, I get 20% off. I mean, it's not much, but it adds up. So I got a couple of good games, which I'll show here. I got Cloudpunk, which is a really fantastic indie game for like 20 bucks at GameStop. I suggest getting those, well, if you can find them. I'm surprised they even made a physical copy of it. But it's a fantastic game, kind of a Blade Runner-esque, flying cars, Fifth Element kind of vibe to it. And it's done in kind of a voxel style, you know, with it kind of similar to Minecraft, but a little bit more detailed. But yet it has a lot of very realistic, photorealistic, you know, lighting effects and neon and stuff at night. But if you want to go through a futuristic dystopian city late at night, in the rain with kind of Vangelis music and with other flying cars and what have you, it's a fantastic game. And what did I get? I got State of Decay 2 also, which I've been looking for. I think they've got a Juggernaut edition, which is the one I really would like to buy. I'll probably find that one eventually. Maybe, I don't know if that's a physical copy or digital. I got to research it. But it looks good. I'm on my way home from work, another Saturday, you know, early morning, 4 a.m. deal. It's about 8 o'clock, a couple minutes after 8 now. Heading back. Got a wide expanse of beautiful countryside. And it's a great drive. I love this drive home. They just paved all these roads out here, so I had to take a freeway for a while they were putting down gravel and new asphalt. But it's nice and smooth now. Anyway, when I saw Jeremy's thing, he did a great community question thing, and it was on, he said, when it comes to your game collection, do you have an end game or end goal in mind, or are you just going to just keep collecting on and on and on forever? And I think about this a lot because my own collection, I mean, part of me just wants to wrap it up and get it over with, you know, already. And I'm trying to, as there's not many games left. I mean, we've kind of went through most of the ones that I could find in the wild. I've found there's a few stragglers here and there, a few odds and ends of things. Let me get around this car real quick. Get my exhaust done on my truck. It's quieter than my last truck because I left the rear resonators on, so I don't piss my neighbors off at 3:30 in the morning when I fire the thing up. But when you nail it, you can definitely hear it. It's got that Super 10 Street Racer Flowmaster muffler set up and exhaust with a 3-inch pipe. It really sounds good. Made a huge difference. Anyway, some beautiful horses. And there's some nice cows out here too. Usually in this field over here, there's some cows in the shade grazing. I don't see them today. I don't know where they are, but really pretty. It's just a great countryside. Rolling hills and mountains around the whole perimeter of the valley. Nice farms out here. Horse ranches, just nice little homes all by themselves with a couple acres. It's good stuff. So Jeremy asked, he said, I mean, ultimately, I mean, you're just going to keep collecting for the sake of collecting, or I mean, is there an end goal here in mind? Or, and I think about this all the time, and even though I keep trying to wrap up my collection, I keep discovering, through YouTube channels and friends' recommendations, I'll keep hearing of a PS1 game or a couple of PlayStation 2 games or 6th-gen games that I haven't got yet, there's a lot more GameCube games I'd like to get. If I was really bitching, I'd probably get those. There's some cows over there. Lots of cows out here. I love the cows. And it's something I think about quite often, because I don't want to just keep spending money for the sake of spending money. I really want to get an end goal in mind. And if I can try to wrap it up. That doesn't mean that I'm going to have, once I get these last 3 games, that's it, I'm done, I'm not foolish enough to think that. I think that there'll always be games that you'll be interested in having or finding out about. There's another slow car going to pass. And if I can find out about them and research them, it looks like something I might want to play, or maybe it's something I had forgotten about, a game that I had. All of a sudden, oh shit, I completely forgot I'm missing this game or that strategy guide or whatever. Then I'll certainly, pursue those. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is I'm trying to get things done with my collection as much as I can, because the prices are going up thanks to this COVID mess, pandemic or whatever. It's just another excuse for people to mark games up, and the eBay pirates to sailing the high seas of flying the skull and crossbones, selling their overabundance of Xbox Series X's and PlayStation 5s, which is just amazing to me. People will pay $800, $900, $1,000, $1,500 for PlayStation 5. I won't do it. I didn't do it before the 360, and I'll be damned if I'm going to do it now. I could see maybe $100, maybe, and even then, I don't like the idea of it. That someone is profiteering for the sake of profiteering. When I sell my games, I've never cared about making a profit. I usually give them to someone. I'd rather give them to have the joy of giving them to a friend that'll appreciate them, and to trade them in and get $4 or $15 or whatever they're going to give you for them. It's just not worth it to me. Sometimes I'll have duplicate games, and it's easy to just take those in and trade them in or whatever, but it'll give you a few bucks for them usually. But I'm close, and there was, initially I was thinking of collecting for the 3DO, getting a 3DO, and then of course I got to get a backup 3DO that works, and then I got to find 3DO games in the original tall boxes. Now we're looking at another, who knows, another $1,000 to $3,000. To start a 3DO collection, is it worth it? Is it worth it to buy a Wii U, and start collecting Wii U games? It really depends on what you have an affinity for. If you really like the Nintendo systems and you really want to have a Switch and a Wii U and a Wii, and then perhaps it's worth it. Some of these games, there just comes a certain time where, I'm not going to buy that Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast now that it's $300. I could have bought it when it was $100, and even then I didn't like the idea of paying $100 for a game that I already have on the 360. The 360 version of it, Outrun Arcade or whatever they call it, is the Outrun Coast to Coast with better graphics. And I think I paid like a whopping $10, $15 for it, Why should I pay $100? It'd be nice to have the box and the manual. I think I have Steve bought me a PlayStation 2 version of it. So, I physically have the box. It's nice to look at, but I'm just not, I'm not hell-bent to have every type of game. I've got, like my friend Cameron of Industrial Gamer. This is not to pick on him or to bag on his taste in collecting, but he clearly, he likes to have, like with the original Xbox games, whatever, he doesn't want a greatest hits or platinum hits or whatever. He likes to collect the black boxes. And that's just how he is. He wants to have everything kind of match on the shelf and have the original boxes. To me, I don't care. If I can get a game that's all original and have it in the original packaging, yeah, it'd be nice. But if I can't find it and all of a sudden I see a platinum hits and it's, reasonable price, I'll buy it. I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me. But again, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with someone else that wants to do that. It's just not my vent or fetish or my obsession in having a collection like that. I mean, some people like to have every single game, and I've got friends of mine on YouTube, they like every game complete, or they won't collect it, period. Now, I prefer that. I like to get every game complete if I can, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it and go, oh God, I'm not happy, I'm not satisfied until I get each game complete. I think I'm missing like 2 or 3 manuals out of all my games. And what's funny is those were early games when I first started collecting around 2012 for the 6th gen. These were games that I just quickly saw and bought. I didn't even think to look if they had manuals. Like, oh, look, Manhunt 2, cool, buy it, And now all of a sudden I realize, oh shit, I don't have a Manhunt 2, manual. I think I'm missing one other one. I think it's, oh God, my memory's awful. It's a World War II game. I can't remember the name of them now. My memory, I've got problems with that. That's another story that's all tied in with my health issues. One of these days I'll have to delve into that. But I'm having problems with my short-term memory. I can remember shit from the 60s like it was yesterday, but God forbid I got to remember a meeting I had with my boss 2 days ago. I have issues with it, so I'm trying to work through that. So there will be certain games or names of movies and things that just will kind of escape my mind for the moment. Eventually I'll think of it, but anyway, I mean, I've got pretty much every game that has a manual, and some of them, again, some of the discs are a little lightly scratched up. If they're light scratches that don't look like they affect anything with performance, I don't really care. I mean, I prefer to have them all super nice. I have some friends that just like factory sealed shit, and I know people that have factory sealed games that refuse to open them, which to me is just, it's like a prima donna collector deal. I just don't understand. It's like well, my games are factory sealed and they will never be open. It's like, well, good for you. If you like that, I mean, if that's your thing, I mean, to me, the game is to be played and to be replayed and to have in a collection. It's my motto, that I coined years ago. Said if a game is worth having and worth playing, it's worth replaying and enjoying again, and maybe again and again, maybe if more than once, more than twice. Maybe you want to replay it, revisit it 3 or 4 or 5 times. Then you certainly should have that game in your collection. That's kind of my a prerequisite, for a game that goes in my collection. Either it's a game that I had and played and enjoyed, or it's going to be a game that I saw it when it was new, when it was $50 or $60 or whatever, and I just didn't buy it at the time. I had to make a decision between, Grand Theft Auto 3 or this game, and I picked Grand Theft Auto 3, which I certainly don't regret, but that's the way it was sometimes. I mean, I was spending most of my money back then on DVDs and movies, and a lot less of it on games, because I'd buy a game and it could last me a couple months. I remember I bought Twisted Metal Black. I had it for 4 months, and it was the only PlayStation 2 game I had, because I could barely afford that PS2 at launch. And I had the one game, and my wife says, okay, but just remember, you promised that you'd be happy with one game for a while, because that's all we can afford to buy this new console, which I had to have at launch. So I bought it, and I was so happy with Twisted Metal Black. For 4 months, that's all I played, and I did well with it, So it's a great game. I still enjoy it. I have versions of it on the PlayStation 3. I've got it on my PS4, and it's a great game even today to play. It really looks and plays great. Great music, everything. Here's the hillside where I live. Always pretty in the morning. It's like a sea of homes. I feel like I'm in that Poltergeist movie, looking over from the graveyard, looking at all the homes that they built over the Indian burial grounds. Who knows? They probably had Indians that they've desecrated their graves and built homes over. I wouldn't be surprised, but it is what it is. I mean, I try to accept things at face value for the positive. I mean, I try not to get hyper-focused on the negative aspects of things. If someone brings it to my attention, oh, by the way, you live in an Indian burial ground, I might research it and see if it's true. Doesn't mean I'm going to move, but, certainly you don't want to piss off anyone's relatives. All right, let me turn into my complex here. So that's a prerequisite, is that it has to be a game that I know that I love and easily can see myself re-enjoying, or it's a game that it's a shooter that perhaps I just never played, but I'm pretty sure that I would like it. And if I, by chance, some of the games that I've bought aren't my thing, or they don't hold my interest, well, then I can trade them in or give them to someone else. It's not the end of the world. Maybe by then it'll be probably worth more money and I might make a few bucks on them. I don't really care. I've never looked at games as a commodity. I know people that, buy a couple new consoles at launch and with the sole reason of selling one of them and making a profit off it. I'm a capitalist. I'm not an anti-capitalist person, but when it comes to like a hobby that I love, I just don't feel right, at least with my hobbies and trying to profit from it, and I don't know. My buddy's guy's got this really clean Ford truck, really nice. It's nice to be back in the neighborhood here. More people moving in. It's like Colorado plates on that one. Right now, the Boise area is the #1 fastest growing real estate and city in the country right now. It's amazing. The prices have gone up like you wouldn't believe. I've never seen anything like it. I feel very fortunate to be here now. Here's my house. It's my father-in-law's little Chevy Malibu. He's staying with us now, so I gotta do my vlogs kind of outside or in my truck. Or my wife is gone. Oh, that's right, she had to get her glasses, I think. She's got new glasses coming in. I have new glasses that'll be in soon, and then I'm going to oh shit, I gotta close my mirrors in so they just barely fit past the door jamb. That might be a little too close. Let me see. Oh yeah, I got room. Well, I'm back after another break. I pulled back in the garage and tried to continue my vlog like I did before. And I had just one interruption. My father-in-law comes wandering out in his robe out in the garage and thought I was having an altercation with someone out here because he heard voices. So I tried to explain that I was filming something, but I don't think he understood. And the phone kept ringing. My wife I just said, you know what, I'm going to have to film the last part of this video completely over. So this is the next day, and I'm going to take a drive. I'm going to my GameStop because I think there's a game there that I've been looking for, and I haven't had luck finding it. I called, and I think they have one, and they're going to hold it for me. They said they do, and they're going to look for it and hold it for me if they have it. So I'm curious to see if they've got it. It's a newer game. Before I talk about it, I want to make sure they've got it first. So I'm going to take a drive, and gets me out of the house where I got some damn privacy where I can talk. I can never seem to get a break at home anymore. There's just so much commotion going on. One of these days I'll be able to kind of fill you in on what's going on here, but we're good. Family coming in droves. My dad was just here for a week with his wife, and then my father-in-law is now here, and my mother-in-law is going to be coming soon. Both my father-in-law and mother-in-law have been divorced for quite a while now, since 1987, so they each have separate lives and are single. So it's been interesting. Neither one of them can stand each other, so it's very interesting trying to get them both to move here at the same time without divulging too much about the other, their other ex-spouse or whatever. So it's just been like chaos, and I haven't had a lot. In fact, today I've got to move my PS4 Pro into my master bedroom because I can't even game without. I start gaming and father-in-law comes out and he wants to sit and watch me play Forza 6 or something, and I showed it to him for a while, and I showed him Wreckfest, and he likes some of the driving games. He's fascinated. He didn't even know about these video games. He's just like living under a fucking rock. He doesn't even know about the smartphones. He's got a flip phone. You know, he bought that because my wife nagged him to buy one, so, you know, in case he falls down somewhere, you know, he can call for someone. He doesn't have anyone, so wife is pretty much taking care of him. Anyway, I'm trying to remember where I left off. I was talking about the prerequisites for games. It has to be a game that I like, that I used to play and that I'm very fond of. It has to be a game that maybe I wanted to get when it was new, but had to pick and choose between, you know, a couple games, and so I never got the other game back on the original Xbox or PlayStation 2. So now I can get it for a fraction of what they were new. And sometimes I'll take a chance on a game. Very rarely. Usually I'll see games at a retro game store, and I'll go home and I'll make a little list of, like, you know, 5 or 6 games that I'm kind of intrigued with, and I'll just watch some video reviews. And there's pretty much a review of every game you can imagine. And one of them I took a chance on was that Slot Car Thunder, I think it's called, for the Xbox. I believe it's on PlayStation 2 as well. And it just looked neat. I said, oh, look, it's, you know, it's a video game, but you're playing like with slot cars. Like, it's like in a pretend room, like you're setting up a slot car track in your room, going over tables and beds and things. And I thought that was kind of a neat concept. So I took a chance on it, you know. And then when I got home, I went ahead and bought it because I didn't want to, you know, not get it and then come back later and see it gone. And I'm glad I did, because the reviews of it looked good. It looked like it was intriguing, you know. I usually like pretty much any racing game. I'm not too fussy with stuff like that. So, beautiful day. It's around 100 degrees today. It's hot as a fuck. I mean, thank God I got good air conditioning in this truck. I've got these cooled seats. I'm not used to this. First discovered it in my wife's Traverse. She has the same thing. We have heated seats and air-cooled seats. And the air cooling is really neat. It's like little perforations in the seat, and the air just comes through them and just envelops you around your ass and your back, and it's so nice on a hot day. I even have a heated steering wheel, which I could care less about that. That kind of stuff is like taking it too far. I tried it once and it got too hot too fast, and I said, I'm shutting this fucking thing off. I have a lane assist thing on here, which I shut off. I've got it, you know, right there. I shut that off because I would try to pass someone, and I had to like fight the steering wheel. I'm like, God, is there something wrong with the alignment? And then I read the manual, and it says you can shut it off to override it, and that way you can pass easier. And it's like, well, fuck, I don't need this thing. Like, it'll literally like drive like hands-free. It kind of stays in your lane to where you can kind of play with it with your pinky if you want, or just kind of have your hand on it just to make sure it doesn't get out of control. But it pretty much drives itself. But I don't like it. I don't like all the high-tech gadgets. I'd rather drive myself, and if I want to pass someone, I want to pass them. I don't want the thing fighting me, trying to stay in my lane, which I didn't like that. So, but anyway, getting back to the blog, and see, I get distracted. You know, hey, look, a squirrel. You know, I easily get distracted. So my mind hasn't been in the greatest state lately, and that's another whole, you know, vlog that I'll do one day maybe. But I've just been real tired. Yesterday, too, near the end of my vlog I was doing in the garage, I started yawning and falling asleep. And then I just looked way too tired, you know, so I thought I'd finish the vlog. I caught up. I took a long nap yesterday, forgot for hours. I just collapsed, you know. I was so tired, getting up at 2 a.m. every day. I'm doing kind of the mandatory 10-hour days. Now, it's one thing if you get 4 10s, and that way, you know, you work 4 days at 10 hours, and then you get a Friday off. It's like, well, I'd be all over that. But I do 5 10s, and then I do Saturdays on top of it, and you have to. I mean, you know, you could say no, but if you have to, like, go to a doctor or something, they'll let you off early, you know, which I had to do. I had to see my neurologist last Friday. And so I said, I better leave after 8 hours. Oh, okay. You know, as long as you tell them in advance and they write it on the calendar, everything's fine. So that way they know that you're leaving. But they pretty much expect you to work, you know, these 10 hours. What the fuck is this? Oh, they've got that gravel down here. Oh, they're going to pave this one next. Yeah, they're putting this all over town. They lay gravel. It makes a fucking mess. I just washed my truck. And then you drive over it, and then after a few days or weeks or whatever, then they pave over it with asphalt or tar or something. I've never seen, the road work here is very odd, very strange. But, you know, overall the roads are in pretty good shape. I just don't like that one being so fucked up. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, I never thought that I would have as many games as I do now. You know, I've got over 200 original Xbox games. I've got over 200 Xbox 360 games. I thought I would have probably half of that, you know, when I started this back in 2012. And that really is when I started it. You know, that's kind of my story, is that I discovered the internet around 2009, 2010, and I slowly, you know, found out about YouTube and was watching more YouTube, you know, videos like Classic Game Room. I watched, God, just all the time, and he had new game reviews of newer games like the 2009 Wolfenstein, which that's how I discovered Mark in Classic Game Room. And then he had older retro games, you know, in Sega Genesis or Truxton, or he'd have Twisted Metal, you know, what have you. And that's why I quickly donated a lot of my older games I had back then, because I thought it was kind of, oh, that's novel. Look, you know, Mark will review an actual game that I donated. That's kind of cool. And that's kind of how I get into donating so much stuff to Classic Game Room. After watching a lot of it, it's like, God, I kind of wish I had kept those games now. I never should have traded all of those Xbox games. And they gave me, you know, $10 for my perfect Xbox and another $10 for my PlayStation 2. And I bought some used games at Dimples with it, you know. And I'm like, God, I kind of really wish I had kept all that shit now. And 2012 is when I said, you know what, I'm going to make a new decision, and I'm going to buy a PlayStation 2. And I was doing some research, and a lot of people really liked the PlayStation 2 Slim. Said it was really reliable and it worked great. You could play PlayStation 1 games on it. And so I found one for $40, real clean black one at Dimples, no scratches on it, in great condition. It looks like it barely been used, and it plays great. And I've never had any problems with it. Best $40 I ever spent. And I went out and I think I bought Roadkill that day, and Twisted Metal Black, and maybe Manhunt. Like maybe 3 or 4 games. And I went home, and it was just so neat to kind of play PlayStation 2 again. Remember, this is back when the Xbox 360 was the new thing, you know, and the PlayStation 3, which I had both of, and was really enjoying them. You know, I liked it, the fact that games were getting better. You know, now I'm kind of going back a generation. But I quickly found that it didn't take very long. After just a year or two, I was missing the 6th gen. And so I started off with 3 or 4, you know, PlayStation 2 games, and it was awesome. Like, you know, these are really neat. I never should have got rid of my PlayStation 2 and my Xbox. And I really was starting to kick myself, and I could see that, you know, hanging on to the older generations, even a PlayStation 1, there's some merit to it, you know. And I had someone that was in the comments recently, one of my older videos, who said, Dean, you know, we haven't seen you make a video in a while, so I was going back and looking at a lot of your older rants and vlogs and what have you. And here's my GameStop here. It's only a few miles, you know, maybe 15 minutes from home. Parking's really good here for the most part. You got a lot of it's a great GameStop. I love the guy in there, the manager. I have a knack for being friends with all the managers at all the GameStops. This guy's been a manager for years, and he does pretty well. He has his own home, and he's married and everything. And he loves the job, and I met him during the whole COVID thing. He was really worried. He was afraid he was going to lose his job at GameStop, and was worried about GameStop and everything. And I'm gonna park here. I forgot I got this thing where I can see my own truck, like a drone view. It's the weirdest thing. I'm still getting used to it. It's so bizarre. It has like a little caution zone around the whole truck you can kind of look at. My wife relies too much on that stuff. I still look over my shoulder anyway, just because I can, but I'll set this here just for a minute, kind of do some more of this rant. Just let it run with the air on. So, you know, and after just a few playing those PlayStation, I remember filming, Twisted Metal Black, and I did a bunch of roadkill footage and uploaded it, and I had so much fun returning to it. Even just after a short period of time, I'm like, I made a huge error in starting over, Now I got to buy all these games, and I get rid of the strategy guides, everything, And I had a massive amount of strategy guides and games, and most of them went to family, and I don't regret that. My nephews get so much fun out of it, and seeing them, they still play games today. They get the best of everything now. Their parents buy them whatever console and big screen TV goes with it. They've got everything. So, but I still am happy that I really influenced them with gaming, and that they enjoyed a lot of the games and game posters and strategy guides and stuff that I've given them over the years. So I don't regret that, but I do regret getting rid of so many things that I had, and I'm still just now buying back. In fact, Jeremy just found me my Red Faction and Red Faction 2 strategy guides that I had before, and it's nice to have them back in my collection, for sure. But it's like, God, I'm still buying back things I had. Here it's 2012. It's almost 10 years now. My shows, my YouTube channel's been almost on for 10 years now. I can't believe it. But it really makes me wonder if I'm ever going to get back all the games that I had, and every once in a while I'll remember games. I'll see an old retro review and like the thumbnails. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot I had that game and I loved that. God, I'll have to add that to my list now. So I had someone, I was trying to say, I had someone that in my YouTube comments that said, Dean, I'm watching your old channels and I'm really inspired to kind of go back and get some of these older systems I had before when I was in school or college or whatever. And do you have any advice for someone starting out and collecting? And I thought about that, and I said, I should do a vlog just on that. So this is kind of a twofer. I'm doing one on, do you have an end game, a video response to my good friend Jeremy. Do you have an end goal in mind on your collection, or you're just going to collect forever and ever and ever? You see the wrapping it up at a certain point. And I thought that was a fantastic topic to talk about, and then as well as giving a little bit of advice on collecting, because I had to do it in 2012. I had to start over, and I could have went out in one day and bought an Xbox and a GameCube and try to buy 100 of each game for each system and all this stuff. I didn't want to overdo it. Kind of wanted to dip my toe in the water and kind of go slowly and see how I liked it, because I didn't know. Maybe I'd play a couple of those old games and go, yeah, it was all right, but I don't know if I want to return to that. So I didn't know. So I took a chance and only bought just a few games. I went home and loved it. And I find myself going back once or twice a week and buying more games, 2 to 4 games at a time. Sometimes I'd buy 6 games, And what was interesting is that back then, with the Xbox 360 was the current gen console, and the PS3 naturally, that there were tons of people that were still hanging on to PlayStation 2 and Xbox games, for the longest time. And I'm thinking, fuck, this would be a great time to collect. And they were dirt cheap. A lot of them were like $1.99, $3.99, $7.99. They were like $12. We could get a really nice game. They had Stubbs the Zombie factory sealed for $19.99. And I remember picking it up and looking at it, because I like the cover on it. I really like the cover, but I just didn't like the idea of playing as a zombie. I like being the one that kills the zombies, not playing as one. And I just literally, and to this day, I have no interest in having that game, as good as it looks. I love the artwork. It's one of the nicest looking Xbox covers I've seen. I think they have a digital release of it now. I think you can get it on the PlayStation 4, or maybe it's on the Xbox One X or Series X. I'm not sure, but it looks interesting anyway. I watched some gameplay of it, and it's not something I would be interested in playing, but it's neat. It's a neat looking game. It's a fascinating premise and concept. I can see why people like collecting that game, but my God, that game now is $100, maybe $300. I don't know. The game prices are crazy. That that Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast is $300+ now. There's no way in hell I'm buying that. I think I talked about that yesterday when I started talking about this, and 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 yeah, you could buy that game. It'd be nice to have it, but with that kind of money, think of all of the other games that I could buy. I could wrap up my strategy guide collection for $300. You know, I have better things to do with my money than to have something that I can show and tell on my Facebook Xbox group. Oh, look, I have this rare game that no one else has. Oh, wow. So you get a little praise on it for an afternoon, and that's it. Now you just paid $300 for something. Hope you enjoyed the ego trip, the little ego boost you got for a few minutes and showing off your new toy on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And that's kind of what it was. That's one of the reasons why I just got off from Facebook. I initially liked the groups, especially the car groups, and, you know, guys that just had Challengers or muscle cars. And then I liked the Xbox group. That's how I met Steve, my good friend Steve Baker, Jeremy, who's helped me out quite a bit, and other wonderful collectors, you know. But there were some assholes in there too that I just didn't like, you know. And a lot of people that, you know, because Jeremy had it, and he makes it look so attractive. He's got a complete North American Xbox collection of every single Xbox game, all the variants, I mean, everything. And it does look pretty... It looks impressive to see every single Xbox game. Now, it's not something that I would never go after a complete collection of anything, because I don't want the Barbie games and the basketball and the Madden game. I could care less about sports. I'm not into sports. I like some of the NASCAR EA games and the racing games, certainly, but I'm just not into baseball and, you know, soccer and football and all that stuff. And so why would you want to buy every single game and, you know, maybe a third of them or more, even half of them, you really have no interest in playing, just so you can say you own every one? I mean, it's just bragging rights, I guess. I mean, you know, so I saw people in our Xbox group, because Jeremy had one and some other people, oh, I'm going to get a complete Xbox collection. They would buy games just to have them. They didn't even care if the discs were all scratched up, they were missing manuals. They would buy every week 10, 20 games at a time. Every game that they could get their hands on. They didn't care what it was. And it's like, are you even going to play a tenth of these games? Have you even looked at the disc? Are they scratched up? I mean, is that the thing that's all about, having that game case on your bookshelf so you can, looks like all that filler? I mean, it's just not my thing. And again, it's not bagging on Jeremy or other people that have a complete Wii U collection or a complete Xbox, or I mean, I can't even imagine a complete PlayStation 2 collection. It would have to be thousands of games. That's huge. There's so many PS2 games. Or a GameCube collection, complete collection, or an N64 collection would cost you a lot of money. I remember Silverwings 21 said there's a couple games for the N64 that are like huge money. And probably now with the COVID thing, my God, who knows how much it is. So anyway, my advice to this fellow was, and I kind of told him in a lengthy comment, and I realized, I said, I really need to do a rant about this. I said, think of one system you really want. Let's say it's the original Xbox or a PlayStation 2, just to make it keep it easy. I said, get yourself a PS2. Get yourself the last model of it. So get like the PS2 Slim. So it's very reliable. They get all the bugs out of it. They're not as prone to overheating and having problems. Get yourself, you know, research them, get yourself one of the last of the good Xboxes that has a good DVD drive, whatever. And you know, make sure it works good. You know, I'm a believer in getting multiple consoles. I had 3 perfect working Xboxes. They were all modded. They all had the clock capacitors changed to had new ones put in. And new, you know, DVD drives, new little belts and all this stuff. But I gave one as a special gift to Cameron of Industrial Gamer, and I'm glad I did. He really wanted an Xbox, and if anyone deserves to have one that had the CoinOps 8 Massive in it, plus all the games, it was him. So I gave him my, you know, one of mine. I think I had a 160 gigabyte hard drive put in it, so you could install like 20 games on it or whatever. Not as many as my 500 gig one, but still more than enough. He has a bulletproof Xbox that'll last him for as long as he's going to need it. But my advice was, you get the one console and just get a few games. Start off with a few, let's say PlayStation 2 games. Get a PS2, get a PlayStation, some of your favorites, exclusives, and try it out for a while and see how you like it on for size, you know. And then if you like it, if it really does something for you, then go get some more. Then start off with maybe 8 to 12 games. And that's it. Just pick out your absolute favorites and just start with that. And even some of those could be expensive, because if some of your games are some of the popular ones that are big money now, it may cost you a few $100 for the cost of a new Series X. I mean, you might be able to get a PlayStation 2 and, a handful of games. I mean, I don't know. No, fortunately, a lot of the games I like are real weird games. I don't like a lot of the Nintendo, first-party exclusives of the Mario games and the Kirby and that stuff. Again, nothing against those people that like those kind of cutesy Donkey Kong. And I like the Donkey Kong Country. There's a couple of them that I like. The Donkey Kong series, because I've played on my friend's arcade system so much. I have kind of an affinity for that one. But who knows? Maybe I try the Mario Kart, and some of those I find that I love them and want to collect them. But God only knows what I'll pay for them now. The GameCube already is getting like crazy expensive. I've had to like cut my GameCube list in more than half, maybe 60%. I went right off the top and said, you know what, instead of getting these 30 or 40 GameCube games, I might just be able to get maybe 8 or 10 of them at the most. And it's going to cost me some money. I mean, I have the money to go out and buy, thousands of dollars worth of shit right now, but I will not violate my rule of spending. I spend no more than 5% of my money is allocated towards my entertainment. That's movies, CDs, going to the movies, buying a new DVD player or Blu-ray player, all of that. That all comes out of my 5%. I will not spend more than that. I have to think about my future. So most of my paychecks, I use one of my paychecks, which goes to pay my truck payment and help my wife with the car insurance, and we don't have any credit card bills anymore because we paid them all off. I paid the Challenger off, over a year ago. So when I put that down on the truck, I put down, almost $22,500 down on this truck. So my payment's not that bad on it for an expensive, very expensive truck, because I put so much down. And that's it. So I can easily make the payment one of my weeks. So all my other paychecks go to my wife. They go in savings. Or if we need to get like a new shed for the house, or we need to buy something for the house, or down the road our air conditioning breaks, we need to have it fixed or something, we have money for that. So I'm saving it for a rainy day. So because of that, I still have to be kind of pick and choose. I can't go nuts. Jeremy will send me a text, hey Dean, I can get these 2 or 3 guides right now. Do you want to get them? We'll get those 2. That other one looks expensive. We'll hold off on that for right now. And that's kind of the way I have to do it. I wish I could do it otherwise, but I can't. So, and I'm happy with it the way it is. It's fine. I get if I get 1 or 2 games a week, it's more than enough for me. I'm not gonna balk it. I'm very happy with my collection. If I got no other games for it, I really would be just fine. I'm kind of whittling it down to just the bare essentials of what I'm going after. So it's nice that it's close. I don't know that it's ever going to get wrapped up. I mean, I'd like to think so, because I still like the hunt and look for games. But I think that I can get, within a year's time, I should be able to get most of the strategy guides and probably most of the games by the end of the year. And I'll be fine. And there'll still be 3 here and 4 GameCube games there. And, and I can decide whether I want to spend $100 for an old game or not. I mean, at that point, I was debating getting a 3DO, but if I get one, it means I got to buy 2. I have to get 2 working ones. So if one breaks, I still have another one I can play my expensive 3DO games on. And then do I want to go after, 10 or 12 games for the 3DO? It's a lot of money. Right now, I'd rather focus on my GameCube collection, which is going to be very expensive to get some of the games I want. I may have to hold off on a couple of the GameCube games that I wanted, because they've shot through quadrupled in price now. It's crazy. Like I said, fortunately, a lot of the games that I like are real cheap games. They're not that expensive. They're $10, $20 games at best. So I'm real happy with my taste in games, and I don't need to have, all of the heavy hitters and impress everybody else. All I care about is having fun on my couch. If the game makes me smile and I have a good time with it, if I can see myself replaying it, then I'll buy it and I'll have it in my collection. That's my whole motto. If a game is worth playing, it's worth replaying and having in your collection. It's really that easy. That's my whole, criteria for my game collection, and it should be yours too. That's my advice. Start small. Try one system. Try it out and see how you like it. Try it for maybe a year. Just see how you like it. If you really like it, then you can decide, do I want to get an Xbox and get a PlayStation 1 and get a Sega Saturn, and some of those systems are very expensive to collect for now. Steve has got a system. I don't know which, if it's a Sega Saturn, one of them. The games he can get like 9 to 10, 14 grand, some outrageous amount of money for that system and the games that he has right now. He could sell the whole thing as a package for like 9 grand, I think that's what he said, if my memory's right, which it could be off. And I'm like, dude, that's a shitload of money. And he said, well, yeah, and I hate to sell it, but I could do an awful lot with that 9 grand. The game prices are crazy right now. And I don't want to just collect shit just to have a bunch of shit around I'm never going to use. I got to get an analog TV. I got to get serious. I didn't want to risk moving my good 27-inch Trinitron, so I gave it to a good friend. I'm very happy I did. He loves the thing, and it makes my heart melt that he, plays his old VHS movies on it, and he plays his old systems on it. It really makes me smile. I would do it again, But now I got to find one, and I'm going to try to find like a 19 or 20 inch, because at least I could lift that with my back, But my God, they're getting hard to find. I mean, I had 2 of them I got for practically nothing before, and now you can't find them to save your life. I'll find one eventually, and I'm working on some things, where I can get one, and I got to make room for it too. I don't have a lot of room in my garage anymore, so I could probably make room for like a 20-inch, something like that. So we'll see. Maybe an old 20-inch JVC or a 19-inch Sony or something might be cool. But I'm just going to take it a day at a time. If I can find one, great. I may have to pay some bucks for one and then travel to another city to find one. It is what it is. But I'd like to wrap my collection up for the most part. If I could wrap it up 90%, I'd be happy. And then still have a few games to go after, because the hunt is fun. It's fun to hunt, but I don't want to spend all my time hunting for retro games and then making videos about it. I mean, there's enough channels that do that. I think it's neat, and I enjoy watching some of them. What's that guy? What's his name? Peter Dorr, I think his name is. He's an older YouTuber collector. He's been doing a series of videos on. He'll pick like 4 or 5, old retro games and kind of talk about what the prices, what they were, what they are now, how the prices are climbing, his projections for the future, and it's a fascinating series. And what's funny is none of the games are anything that I would like, really, with the exception of maybe one game he showed of all the videos. It's like, well, that's neat. I wouldn't mind having that one. But God, not at that price, But it's neat to watch, and I watch it just because I'm fascinated with how the prices are going through the ceiling. I'm so glad I made the choice in 2012 to really work hard at building my collection, because if I had to start it now, it would cost a hell of a lot more money. I mean, it would be a very expensive hobby. So, and this is an expensive hobby. People can spend too much money. When I start seeing people that aren't fixing their cars and they're not living, getting behind in their bills, but yet they go out and they're buying more, hardware or more games or whatever, you have to wonder. I had someone that was going after that complete Xbox collection, and every time he'd get laid off from work or get hard up, he'd start selling off his collection. You need to go back and forth with it over and over. It's like, dude, if you're going to buy it, if you can't afford this, if this is how tight money is for you, then maybe you shouldn't be collecting games. You certainly shouldn't be going after anything as fanciful, pie in the sky as having a complete Xbox collection if you can't pay your bills and feed your babies, I mean, he's got little kids at home. I mean, maybe you shouldn't be going after these, grandiose collections. Such lofty goals, and then the first sign of trouble, you got to start hawking all your shit. I will never sell my video games for anything. I will never. I'm not hurting financially anymore. My days of doing that were, I was in my late 20s and early 30s when I was going through hard times and struggling to make ends meet. But I live pretty comfortably, and we've got a comfortable lifestyle now and money in the bank to where we can make it. If we both get laid off, we still have money to function for a year or two until we get new jobs or whatever. So I like to live carefully. That's why after we lost everything in 2008, I said I will never put myself in this situation again. Don't do it, guys. Don't spend money on games just so you can make a YouTube video about it. and then you barely have money. You're driving an old beat-up car that you can't afford to fix, or you can't afford your car insurance that month, but you're going out and buying new consoles and stuff. I mean, you got to really be careful with your money. That's my advice from someone that learned the hard way, believe me. I bought my PS2 at a time we were so broke when it came out at launch. I was obsessed with having it. My wife says, okay, but only one game, and you're going to have to just tough it out with the one game for a while, and I did. For 4 months, I had my new PlayStation 2 and just Twisted Metal Black, and that's it. That's all I had. I swore I'd never do it again. So, anyway, that's kind of my advice on it. I think that I'll never stop collecting. I think that the day will come where I'll have pretty much what I want, and that I'll casually go after, a few games and guides. And I may consider getting a 3DO. I'm still weighing it all out, but right now I'd rather have, a modded PlayStation 1 that I can, have, the ROMs and play digital games on, as well as hardware. I've got some other goals I'm working on. It may take time for those to materialize. There's a chip shortage, so right now it's hard to even get stuff to do some of this shit. Anyway, guys, that's my advice. I'm going to go in and see if I got my GameStop game. I have a couple other gifts that came in that I'll show soon in one of my next videos. When I'm home and can show the games and stuff that I've got. I've got a bunch of new games lately, including this one I'm going to go in and find right now. I'll probably be talking about this next. I'm going to try to do these videos each week, so I appreciate you watching. And feel free to leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about this. Are you done collecting? Is this going to be a never-ending thing, or do you see the day comes where you'll pretty much be happy with what you got? I think it's a fascinating question. Jeremy does a lot of these. Each week he has these weekly community questions, and they're quite good. I encourage you to look at his channel and go back and check out some of them. They're really good vlogs and really make you think, That's why I like doing YouTube. I like doing vlogs and positing topics that really make you think. I think we could use more of that. There's not enough vlogs. There's too many people streaming and stuff, and no one really talks about games anymore. It's really sad. So I like this talk, talk about something I'm passionate about, and gaming is certainly one of them. So anyway, guys, put in the comments your thoughts and feelings on it, and your advice for anyone that's collecting. Put that down in the comments too, so someone could read through there and derive some really good information on advice, because it is good. There's lots of good advice out there in starting a collection today. There's not a lot of videos on that topic, and again, I'm like, dip your toe in the water, try it out. Don't go crazy and go out and spend thousands of dollars overnight and feel like you got to have hundreds of games overnight, because it's going to cost you a shitload of money. Make sure it's something you really want to do, and live with it a while and see how you feel. Is it something you're going to just play once or twice and never touch for bragging rights, or is it really something you're going to enjoy? I use my modded Xbox. Not all the time, not every week, but sometimes I'll go a few months and just happy with my PS4 Pro and Xbox, One X, and then there's times where I just want to play my PlayStation 2 or Xbox for 4 weeks straight. But it's nice to know it's there. And I do hook it up. I've got an Xbox 360 hooked up out in my game room, and I've got a PlayStation 3 hooked up in my master bedroom. And in fact, I got to change that. I'm going to probably swap the PS3 for the PS4 Pro so I can get some gaming in, because my father-in-law, I just don't get a break. I want to really get into something immersive, like the new the Cloudpunk game, which I've got installed. Every time I've tried to sit down to play that, he comes out and wants to shoot the shit, and I feel bad for the old guy. I got to talk with him, and he feels lonely, he's confused, he's in a strange town, doesn't know where he's at, and so my wife and I are really trying to spend time with him. So bear with me. I can't always. I'm going to try to make these videos each week, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it or not. We'll see what happens. But I'm hoping I can. I'm going to try to. I'll do my best. I might miss every once in a while, but I appreciate your supporting the channel and for watching these videos. That's why I do this, because I want to really be a positive part of the community, and I feel that I am. And I've got wonderful viewers and friends that have been very supportive in the comments and with their kindness. It means so much to me. So thank you very much, and enjoy your games, guys.